I thought I'd share with you today, guys, the birthday of the CB500X. My bike is now 3 years old and it's done just over 24,000 miles, and I've never really done a review of this bike. Always been reviewing or test riding other bikes, but just to give you an idea of my thoughts on it, without waxing lyrical. I mean, you could sort of praise it up to the hilt, but every bike's got its little niggles, no matter what bike it is. But for me, this bike's done everything that I want it to do anyway. It's got me to the places I wanted to go, and in great comfort. So in those 3 years, what kind of things have I done to it? What have I added to it? Well, right off we can see these Barkbuster Storm handguards. I fitted them. They're quite good in the winter months at keeping the wind off your hands. Plus they're that wee bit added protection should you sort of get into the rough stuff and off-road and things like that. Also added the Power Bronze screen, which was slightly taller than stock and just gave me that bit better wind protection. Down in the mudguard area, the front wheel, I fitted the fender extender. Most folk fit that to sort of stop all the kind of crap and crud from splashing up into the downpipes. Probably the manufacturer's done it, you wouldn't have to buy the thing. Up here, what have we done? We've got the Oxford heated grips, which are an absolute must for the winter months. I've got my auxiliary power output, which is great for charging things and for the GPS. Not that I use it that often, but when I do. And I also made a wee kind of fancy bracket, not a fancy bracket, but a bracket that goes across here to hold the GPS waterproof case. What you'll notice on here is that just recently I fitted one of these Scott Oiler cramp busters, and they actually work really well. It takes a while to get used to it sitting there when you're going through normal town traffic, but when you're on the motorway and you've got that kind of cramp feeling in your fingers, you just rest your palm on there and it literally keeps the throttle open for you while you can actually move your fingers and give them a little rest. And basically, you know, just the minute you come off it, accelerator just basically shut or whatever. So that was a useful little gadget that I added, and I think most people when they ride, they get this sort of sometimes you get a vibration through the bar, which gives you this tingly feeling in your fingers. It's white finger. I think it's white finger vibration or something they call it. You can get it. A lot of people that use power tools and things like that, they actually suffer from that sort of like numbness in the end of their fingers. So that actually eliminates that. What else have I added? Well, I've got the Chitoro chain oiler. It really does make a difference of keeping that chain lubed when you're on the move. I've actually got a new chain and sprocket in there. Got a sprocket that gives me a kind of smoother kind of like smoother gearing through town riding and things like that. It's not as lurchy as what it was at first. The chain that I put on is a more expensive X-ring chain, which hopefully will last longer than the originals. Suspension wise, yeah, changed out the suspension, and basically we've now got the Hagen rear suspension changed, which I'm really happy with. And also I put some new springs, Hagen springs, in the forks, and new fork oil, and I would say that made a notable difference to the riding. The suspension is about the only part of this bike that lets it down. On its original suspension, you could be going around a bend that's kind of like got potholes and whatnot, and it kind of the bike can feel kind of like a bit sort of like unstable, especially over rough ground. And always you're going along, you can sort of like feel that it's kind of like not kind of keeping a good line, like it's kind of pitching and bobbing all over the place. Whereas once you put a firmer suspension on it, it kind of tends to iron all that out, and you actually get a much smoother ride, in my opinion anyway. Some folk are quite happy with the suspension in its standard setup, but after having a good few miles on it, I just sort of found that the suspension was just that wee bit kind of like bouncy, and sort of like a feeling that, especially on a bend where the ground would be going rough, that it just wasn't quite well planted. So that's really probably about my only gripe. The bike, it's had 3 oil changes. They get changed at 8,000 miles, the oil get changed. So I've just recently changed the oil there at 24,000 miles. It got its valves done at 16,000, which was a bit of a story, as some of you might have heard on the various forums that I visit. But that was down to the dealer, I would say, that kind of cocked that one up. Ended up with the bike coming back with the plug not being fitted right and things like that. But that's all sorted now. Tyres. It's on its second set of tyres just now. It's on the Michelin Pilot Road 4s, and so far just now it's done 13,000 miles on those. I think they're a great tyre. The strangest thing is that the front tyre is actually wearing quicker than the rear. I reckon I could squeeze another 1,000 miles out of the rear, but I'm not too sure about the front. But I'm well impressed with the Michelin Pilot Road 4s. As you can see, I've still got the standard exhaust on it. I do like, I kind of like some of the aftermarket exhausts that are on there. I like the noise of a kind of like loud pipe or louder pipe. But I don't know that I really want to spend the money just to make the bike that little bit more noisier, or that get a different rumble off it. Maybe I might in the future, who knows. But I tell you, the other thing that I got added to it and all was that the clutch lever and the brake lever, I got adjustable ones, just like reasonably priced from eBay. And also these R&G mirror extenders, they make a big difference, giving you better visibility of the road and stuff like that. So anything like that that actually makes it that bit better, more comfortable, safer, it's got to be all good. So the tyres, yeah, the rear I got a puncture about 2,000 miles ago, and I plugged it, and then I got another puncture about a day after that, right beside the original one. So I plugged that. So the bike has actually been running with these plugs in it for the past few thousand miles. Centre stand, it's seized up me during the winter months, but that's a common thing with centre stands. You can't really lube it from the outside. You actually have to take the centre stand off and take the pin out to actually grease the pin, so that the centre stand is not as sticky as what it was before. But that's all remedied now. But anybody, I would say, who's looking for a kind of general all-round workhorse bike, it does everything. It might not be to everybody's taste. Certainly no sports bike. It's not going to sort of like, you know, it's not the fastest bike in the world out there, but you know, sort of like we're restricted to speed limits here in this country, and we're supposed to be sticking to them. So hey ho, it's a great bike for getting you about, getting you into the country. That bike will tour no problem. There are folk who've actually kitted them out and they're actually couples now that are actually touring around the world on this bike. Even on the forum, I've heard of people who have come from 1000cc motorcycles and they're basically downsizing, and the CB500X seems to be the one that they're going for. So really, in a sense, the bike that you probably have now is probably the bike that is for you. As I said before, I'm not going to wax lyrical about this bike. It's you know, at the end of the day, it does what it does. It gets you where you want to go, and that's really all I need. That's really all I want, and hopefully it's going to last me a few more years. In fact, I intend keeping the bike, and if I get another bike, then I'll have the other bike as a second bike, or have this bike as a second bike and use the other one as the main bike, who knows. But anyway, that's it folks. The CB500X